Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the TCT podcast. You're on YouTube. My name is Gavin Campbell. Alongside me, as always, my two good friends, Tyson Snyder and Cale Fleming. Today on the rundown, we got to talk about E.J. Liddell making his commitment to Ohio State University over the University of Illinois' Fighting Illini. And then we have to get into the NFL weekend. I believe this is week 4. We have to talk about the Bears' historic Sunday over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Mitchell Trubisky, 6 touchdowns, over 300 yards. We'll jump into that. As well as Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott taking care of business. Zeke having an incredible day. I believe he's leading the league in rushing yards as of last Sunday.
That is correct.
And then we're going to move on to some more football. Central Illinois High School football picks for week 6 and results. And then we're going to finish up with the MLB playoff picture and our predictions. Wild card game starting tonight between the Rockies and Cubs at 7 o'clock Central. With that said, Cale, go ahead and take it away, and let's hear about E.J. Liddell.
So, on Friday, we talked about how E.J. Liddell is going to make his decision to commit to either Ohio State, Missouri, or the University of Illinois. I stayed on Twitter pretty much all day. Finally released it about 6 o'clock on Monday night, I think. Had me intrigued a little bit, because Belleville, he came out of Belleville West out of Southern Illinois, and he decided to go to Ohio State. Unlike Io, he decided to take his talents out of state and go elsewhere. Illinois, Mr. Basketball. So, it's a tough loss for Illinois. I kind of half expected it. It's just that now we're kind of in the crunch time. We're in the same place last year. We didn't have a recruit for 2018. We're in the same place for 2019. We still don't have a full, solid commit yet to the University of Illinois basketball program. That's where I'm getting at with the whole thing. Now, we still have Oscar Sheboy. We still have Terrence Shannon Jr., three high-value targets that we've been pursuing for a while now. So it's not like we're completely in the hot water yet. It's just that this time last year we had Io commit about 2 weeks later. So we had a 4-star wing or 4-star guard commit to us. I don't know. To me, I'm seeing a lot of stuff. I'm reading about it online, seeing it on Twitter that it may be a pretty quick turnaround for Underwood. That this may be a 2-year tenure. It could be. He still hasn't landed a solid commit yet, but we still haven't seen him coach this season.
Can you really blame Liddell for going elsewhere? No, I really wish he would have came here, but we've got Io, the reigning Mr. Illinois basketball. And we talked last episode about these greats coming out saying, hey, I've got some records that need to be broken. Well, what's saying Io isn't the one that's going to break those? Why would Liddell come in and play over Io? We've been so high on him and Frazier. These guys will just have another year of experience up on him. So can you blame him for going to Ohio State, maybe where he's got a lot better chance to play, a lot better chance to actually break those records compared to this Illinois team that we've been so high on and that already has this potential?
I'm glad that you brought that up because that leads me to my point that I made on the last time that we talked about Illinois basketball is Ohio State, they had 2 guys, great players, go in the draft to the NBA. There's no one really left on that roster. So this is a team or a roster that he can jump into seamlessly, and he can be the guy. Like you said, he can go for those records if he wants to stay for more than 1 year. If he is good enough to make that jump, yet to be seen, but we'll see what he's capable of there. It's still the Big Ten Conference. Ohio State basketball hasn't been exceptional the past few years. They've had some pretty good teams in the past. If he's going to be the guy that jumpstarts them and gets back to the NCAA tournament and actually makes a run, we'll have to see. But this is a blow for Illinois.
Right, that's kind of what I was thinking, though. You're thinking along the same lines I was, and I think we're thinking along the same lines he was, where he can go somewhere automatically and be a starter. He can, because what does Ohio State really have left for the basketball court? They've got a couple decent big guys, but not really. So he's going to go there and automatically be the man, like you said, and take over and be able to just dominate there, and be able to put on more of a show, I think, than Illinois. Now, I still would have really liked to see him come here, but I think, thinking along his perspective, it makes more sense for him to go there where he can jump in and be the man, like you said.
Yeah, so like everything you guys are saying, I 100% agree with. And like I said, I was half expected for EJ not to commit to Illinois. There's just not enough here yet. We've been talked about all these guys up like Io. We know Trent's going to come out and ball out. It's just we have to see it. These guys have to go out and win in order to get top tier talent in here. But like I said, we're still not out on Oscar Sheboy yet. We're still not out on Terrence Shannon Jr., and we've probably still got some more lurking about. They're just not highly talked about like these three are. So let's have to see waiting what happens.
Absolutely. No, it's like you said, we got those two other recruits, highly talented guys. I was thinking maybe EJ could have added to the talent pool here, having two.
Oh yeah, he could have.
Having two Illinois Mr. Basketballs on the same team with Io. That would have
made it three Mr. Basketballs in the last 3 years.
If we go back to
Mark Smith,
right. So having him on the team would have been great. I thought that we could have been looking more along the lines of Michigan State from last year and a couple years from now if they would have stayed. Just really dominant, making it to the Sweet 16. That's probably high hopes, but obviously that's nothing more than a dream now because he did commit to Ohio State. But like Cale said, we got to wait and see what Underwood and his staff is able to do here in the coming months, couple years from now, and see really what this team is capable of, and we will see what they are capable of come November and December when college basketball is back. With that said, let's go ahead and switch gears here, though. NFL weekend, this is week 4. Chicago Bears, man, they had a heck of a day. I mean, they had a hell of a day, let me say that. Mitchell Trubisky, this was a guy that you guys questioned in the last episode whether he had it, whether he's gotten enough time to be and show what he's capable of and being the Bears starting quarterback. Well, he showed up on Sunday throwing for 6 touchdown passes, 354 yards, 19 of 26. Actually has the record now for most touchdown passes thrown in one half with 4 as a Chicago Bear, believe it or not. And he also tied the record for most touchdown passes thrown in a game with 6 as a Chicago Bear. This is a guy who just finished playing his 16th game for his career.
Thank God.
Just finished playing his 16th game for his career. He looked absolutely phenomenal. It was, like I said, it was a career day. I was screaming at my TV the entire way. I was so happy. I'm glad Ryan Fitzmagic finally decided to cool off. He was replaced by Jameis Winston at halftime, and I'm glad old Crab Legs came out there and didn't play very well either. So this is just a great day for Bears fans. I know, Cale, you had to have been excited as I was to see this. Tariq Cohen had a heck of a game too. 7 catches for 121 yards, had a touchdown there in the second quarter.
Taylor Gabriel had 2.
And yes, he had 2. Let's not forget about Trey Burton, and then the 4th string or 5th string receiver Josh Bellamy got himself one today. And Kevin White got involved, name we haven't heard in a very long time, throwing a couple crucial blocks, especially on the Tariq Cohen touchdown. I was very excited to see everyone getting involved in this game. And let's not forget Khalil Mack, another strip sack in this game. That's 4 for 4 so far this season, tying an NFL record. We'll have to see if he can come in week 6 and get one against the Dolphins.
Didn't he set that record?
Who?
Khalil Mack, those 4 strip sacks?
Oh, probably.
I thought he said it in like 2016 in Oakland.
I'm not sure.
So is he out here breaking his own records?
He's probably broken his single season record at this point in 4
Absolutely.
games.
I know it's a record to start the season. It's never been done 4 for 4 straight in the first 4 games of the season. Now, if he does do it against the Dolphins, that will be a record if he can get another one. But he has been nothing short of phenomenal. The Bears defense, I believe they're third or fourth in total defense so far this year. They're number 2 in sacks. They're number 2 in run defense. Actually, number 1 in sacks, number 2 in run defense. It's crazy to see how good this team can be when Mitchell Trubisky obviously doesn't have a repeat performance of this, but can play at this level, at this caliber, showing
hell, even 3 touchdowns, half as good as he threw, and they're more than in the conversation.
He tripled his touchdown total in one game for the season.
Yep.
And I know that was a criticism that you had coming in and watching him for the first 3 weeks. And I feel like he's really silenced a lot of critics. But I'm going to go ahead and stop babbling about my team here. I'm going to hand it over to you guys. Tell me what you thought about the game.
I want to talk about the power rankings real quick before we get any much farther here. For week 5. So number 1, obviously the Rams are up there. That's hard to argue with them being at 1.
Yep.
Head and shoulders above everyone.
We're getting into some controversial things though I want to talk about because I know you guys are going to have some different different takes. Number 2, Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City. Number 3, Jacksonville. Go Blake. Number 4, the New Orleans Saints. 5, New England Patriots. I never thought I'd see that. Number 6, we still got Philly. 7, Baltimore. 8, Cincinnati. 9, Green Bay. And 10 is our Chicago Bears.
I feel like these haven't been updated since Sunday, but I could be wrong.
This was updated this morning.
Yeah, I feel like someone's either drunk or didn't get their morning coffee because they didn't move the Bears up quite high enough, in my opinion.
Bears at 10 at 2-2. Right,
3-1.
3-1.
Yeah.
3-1.
I don't know how you have a team that's
I don't know how we're under Green Bay.
when
Because
we're leading
Green
the
Bay
division.
beat you.
So that's,
Right.
okay. So
Right,
that's
but
our
we're
only
leading the
loss of
division.
year.
So
Now,
it doesn't make
I
sense
would
to me.
agree. They're on top of the division. You should still be on top of them. But power rankings are based off of if these two teams played today, who would win.
Okay.
The Packers have already beat the Bears. I think that's the reasoning. The only reasoning that the Packers are one higher.
But if they want to come to Soldier Field and play again, I'm more
Right.
than welcome, and I'm looking forward to it.
I don't know if I agree with the Bengals being at number 8
Absolutely not.
or the Ravens being at number 7. I think both of these teams are still sketchy, even though they've got good wins. I just don't know if I trust that. The Bengals' offense has definitely showed out so far this year, but their defense is terrible.
And they just lost Tyler Eifert.
They just lost their tight end.
His ankle spun 360 degrees.
Yeah, so with him gone, that's besides AJ Green, I believe that's Andy Dalton's favorite target. I mean, he still has AJ Green, like I said, and then is it John Ross at wide receiver?
Yep.
So
Fast as hell, boy.
yes, he is, but I don't think that that's enough. And obviously, like you said, their defense not good. I don't think they're a top 10 team. If anyone deserves to be up there, I'd give the Ravens credit. They held Pittsburgh to, I think, 17 points and they have not allowed a touchdown in the second half of all 4 of their games this season. So that's really good. Joe Flacco has been a really pleasant surprise this year. I think that the Ravens drafting Lamar Jackson really set a fire under him so he doesn't lose his starting job.
Have you guys seen what they're doing with Lamar Jackson?
And,
Did you watch any of that game Monday night?
No, I didn't.
So they were flipping in and out. Every other play, Lamar Jackson would come in, run the ball 10 or 12 yards. Flacco would come back in and throw it. So as of right now, they're having Lamar
The
Jackson.
Wombo combo.
Yeah.
They're having Lamar Jackson take snaps. He's running the ball, but Flacco will come in and run the rest of the offense. I don't really understand that maneuver.
I don't understand the Bears having Mitchell Trubisky and Chase Daniels on the field at the same time, but it got him a touchdown.
Yeah.
So these coaches are crazy nowadays. They'll do whatever they can. Their playbooks look nothing like they did even 5 years ago. If there's one team that I would say that probably doesn't deserve to be in the top 10 right now, I would say it's the New England Patriots. They've had one good win all season. Tom Brady does not look like himself. Gronkowski has been shut down all year.
Edelman's coming back next week, and Josh Gordon looked pretty decent Sunday.
He looked pretty decent, but how is he going to be able to sustain that? Is he going to be able to stay on the football field? Is he going to be able to stay inside the stadium, in the team facilities, show up at practice?
Right, we know, right. I get all
So
that.
that's the big question mark I have with him because there's no denying his talent.
Just Edelman coming back alone is going to help a lot. Tom Brady.
Which it should, because he's got Chris Hogan as his third option right now. He's not a third option kind of guy. He's missing Danny Amendola. He went to the Dolphins, who they smacked on Sunday. I think it was 36-7, 38-7.
I think you're being very disrespectful to Touchdown Tommy right now, and I'm not going to have that. You said they've had one good win. Well, they beat the Texans, who won their division last year. Have
They're
not
also
quite shown up
1-3
this
this
year,
year.
but they have Deshaun Watson back, so I'd say that's a decent win.
Who got cut from my fantasy team because he sucks.
They lost to the Jaguars, who are the number 3 team on the power rankings right now.
It's
So
a
that's
vote.
that's not even a bad loss.
No, it's not a bad loss.
I'd say their one bad loss was to the Lions. That for sure should
that was
not have
awful.
happened.
That was the worst loss of this season.
And then they came out and smacked the Dolphins, who were 3-0, one of
not
the
a
2
good
remaining
team.
undefeated
They
teams.
were
in
not
the
a
AFC.
3-0 team.
So I think Touchdown Tommy needs a little bit of respect here. Put some respect on his name.
I don't think I can. I think he's old. He needs to retire. That trainer he's got isn't really working out for him. He needs to go back to making documentaries.
You're going to tell me they don't belong in the top 10. So if they played the Bengals right now, they would lose.
In Cincinnati, yes.
If they played the Packers right now, they would lose.
In Green Bay, yes.
If they played the Chiefs right now against a second-year Patrick Mahomes, they would lose.
In Kansas City, yes.
So what you're saying is all these teams can go into Gillette and lose?
Yes.
The Patriots are going to win at Gillette.
Yes.
But if they go anywhere else, they're going to lose?
The majority, yeah. We saw him go to
I'm
Detroit
just
and lose.
mediating here. I'm trying to get
Hey,
answers
we
from
saw
everybody.
him go into Detroit. We saw him going into
Well, I can't really argue with you right there because their 2 wins are at home and their 2 losses are away.
exactly.
So-
But the 2 losses that they've had have been pretty big losses. Not in terms of the team that they play, but in terms of point spread. When it comes down to Tom Brady, you expect him to keep it close.
That makes me think right there that the Belichick and Brady divorce is actually happening. You know what I'm saying?
No, I
Does
think
that not mean that that's...
I will agree with you. Tom Brady's getting older. It's almost that time to retire, but I don't think it has anything to do
What I
with
don't
the
what I
coach
don't agree
quarterback.
with. Let me say this. What I don't agree with for certain is I don't think that this is a top 5 team. I think that if you're going to put them in the top 10, they should be like 8 or 9 on this list.
I could see that.
But there's no way this is a top 5 team. They're not going to win the Super Bowl. I don't even think they'll make it to the championship game this year.
I have very little doubts that they'll make it back to the championship game. That's who Tom Brady is. He makes it there every year. Whether he wins the championship game or not, that's debatable.
We also have to look at they play the Bills twice and they play the Jets twice. Those are going to be 4 wins on their record no matter what. I mean, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I mean, when they go to Miami, they'll have a shot, but the Dolphins did not look good at all. The Jets, the only bright spot they have is Sam Darnold, and it's his first year. So, I mean, if you're lucky to get 3 or 4 wins out of him.
Just like Josh Allen in Buffalo, they're hit or miss.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. You're lucky to get 3 or 4 wins out of him, and we saw him get 1 against Minnesota because they slept on him. But does he have another 2 or 3 left in him? Maybe. I just think that their schedule is too easy, their division's too easy. If their record's going to be, I think you have to look at it with a magnifying glass at the end of the season, because if they do end up going 11-5, 4 of those 11 wins, who are they against? That's all I'm going to say.
So let's talk about the Cowboys.
All right. Yeah.
What did they end up winning? They won by 2 against the...
Won by 2, 26-24.
Against the Lions. And that game was in Detroit, correct?
That game was in Dallas.
Oh, it was in
That would
Dallas.
make the Cowboys better than the Patriots, by the way, because the Lions beat the Patriots.
We're still on this. So
Cowboys are 2-2. So are the Patriots, so I could see that.
What are your takeaways from that game, Tyson?
Well, we see what happens when you finally start running that offense through Zeke. Dude had 240 all-purpose yards in that game. He is leading the league in rushing by almost 100 yards. He's in first place at 426 yards rushing. Todd Gurley's in second with 338. That's a 90-yard difference over the span of 4 games. That's absolutely insane. We see what actually happens when they hand Zeke the ball. He still didn't get 20 carries. But he was a lot closer this week. Got 100 and some yards on the ground, and he had another 152 on the ground, 88 receiving. So I really loved seeing that stat, because Gavin had asked on the previous episode. There were people out there that said he can't catch the ball, doesn't catch the ball well. He responds this week with 4 catches, 88 yards, and a reception touchdown. So and not only that, but we saw how Dak warmed up when Zeke warmed up, because not only does the run game take pressure off of Dak, but what Zeke brings to the passing game, it takes even more pressure off of him, because he gets almost 100 free yards out of Zeke alone, and that really opens him up. It gives him confidence to start throwing down the field. We saw he had several passes over 20 yards this week. I think he had 3 or 4, and a few more passes that were close. This is the first game that Dak has thrown for over 170 yards. He ended with 220 something, I think. Mm-hmm. But really, everything just started to click this week, and that's what I said really needed to happen. We needed to play Detroit, and we needed everything to just start meshing together, and that all had to do with Zeke getting the ball.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more with what you said. I think Zeke, if anything, shows he needs to get the ball even more. I mean, if he gets 30 touches a game, 35 touches a game, I don't see why not. I don't think that there's any reason why he shouldn't. There's no reason why one player can't get, a third of all the touches on offense. The quarterback touches the ball every single possession, so why shouldn't Zeke get 2 if he's that good? Right. As far as the receiving goes, that's where I was really impressed, because this is nothing new. We know that he can run the football. 152 yards, that's another day at the office for this guy. He's incredible. But the receiving, 88 yards, that was probably the thing that stuck out to me the most. And that screen pass that he caught where he ran like 40 yards down the sideline, that was awesome. To see him dive for the end zone and finish that off was great. And the fact that the Cowboys were able to come from behind and win this, I think, speaks volume to this team and what they're able to do. I think that does wonders for their confidence. Dak Prescott came out. He was very positive in his post-game interview, very confident. I like to see that in a quarterback. I like to see Dak from when they went 13-3 a couple years ago. That's what we need to see. We need to see that kind of confidence in that kid again. Other than that, I thought it was a great win. And we'll have to see if they can stay on top of this division. I know they're moving on up, especially with the Giants dropping one of the Saints over the weekend. That really helped.
Yeah, Zeke also is second in all-purpose yards for the entire league. The only player he's behind is Alvin Kamara, who's the reigning rookie of the year on offense.
That
dude's absolutely insane, electric. He has 336 receiving yards and 275 rushing yards. So to be behind that that's competitive, because Kamara's had several passes that have broke for 50 yards or so this year. So it gives him a little bit of a boost. So being second behind that ain't nothing. So to see Zeke performing at this level already in the season, we already said that would be a major contribution, and I love that you pointed out the come from behind win. They came out in their interviews after the game and said they were very relaxed. There was no pressure on them. They knew what they had to do, and they went out and got it done.
So moving on from that, Adam Vinatieri for the Indianapolis Colts had a pretty, well, it was kind of I don't know, the game was kind of uninteresting really for him.
Yeah.
Just for the sheer fact, though, that he did break a record for most field goals made in his career with 566, I believe, is what he has total now. So congrats to Vinatieri. Well deserved. That dude's been in the league since I was born, so at least 22 years.
Yeah.
Congrats to him. I really like Vinatieri a lot, but I don't know how the Colts are going to fare being 1-3 with 0-2 at home. They did lose that heartbreaker against their division rivals, though, in overtime. Some funky play calling on that 4th and 5 where they ran that dive play. I don't really understand that.
No, I don't
That play
either.
shouldn't have been called. But
4th and 5, you're expecting a pass, so I've got no problem with a run, but the run they ran was not really the one that gets you 5 yards. So, a little sketchy.
Highly questionable. Now, if they needed 2, I got no problem with the play call, but you needed double that plus 1. So, definitely a head scratcher, but
Whoa. Double that.
Full -1, that's 3, quick math.
quick math. But no, congratulations to him. He's been in the league for, God, I think since 1993 or 94. If you want to fact check that for me.
Hey, he's been in the league longer than we've been alive, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's
94.
correct. Because they're
94, he went to the Patriots.
so okay. There we go then. And he's been one of the clutchest kickers, if not the clutch kicker in NFL history. Did he pass Adam Morrison?
Something like that. I can't
I
remember.
believe
Fast.
for number 1 because he just got inducted to the Hall of Fame for being supposedly the greatest kicker of all time. And now we
Vinatieri's
have,
the most accurate, though.
Yeah,
ever.
and now we have Adam Vinatieri. So congratulations to him once again. That's a huge accomplishment. Just too bad they couldn't come out with a win to go along with it. But that's something you don't forget. I mean, he's kicked it enough times. So
I've got 2 more topics that I want you guys to talk about. Number 1 being the dog pound going into the black hole.
that was a hell of a game.
45-42, the Raiders took it away for their first win of the year. What'd you guys think? Gruden finally got a win. They paid him $100 million and he won a game. It took him 4 weeks to do it, but he got it.
Well deserved. I mean, the Raiders fought for it. That's all I can tell you. Cleveland's defense is no joke, and to put up 45 points on that dog pound was wow. It was nothing short of impressive. I can say that. We know who Derek Carr is. Sometimes he can be a little hot and cold, but he's a very, very good quarterback. I'd consider him in my top 12 in the league at least. Very accurate. Sometimes decision making is a little questionable, but him and Amari Cooper had a really good game. I thought Cooper had a great bounce back game from the past couple weeks. He did not look very good, but he got everyone else involved. I believe it's Martavis Bryant who they signed, or re-signed because they had to let him go due to some suspicion of suspension going on.
Yeah, it's probably drugs again.
Yeah, something like that. But he had a pretty good game. And then Jared Cook, 2 touchdown passes for the former Los Angeles Ram. That was very, very nice to see. And Marshawn Lynch, man, we got to talk about him.
Beast mode, 20 carries, 130 yards.
130 yards, and he should have had more for that one that was called back where he broke 3 tackles on the left side of the line for some ridiculous flag that was called. But I tell you what, no one plays harder than that guy week in and week out. He just continues to impress me, and I'm glad that we finally see some life out of this Raiders team because we know he's always working. We know Derek Carr is always working. And it seems that this locker room has been split over this past month. And to finally see them come together and beat a very, very capable Cleveland Browns team was nice to see.
Tyson Nick Chubb on Sunday, 3 carries, 105 yards. What'd you think of that?
It's something in that Georgia water, man.
103
Todd
carries,
Gurley,
2
absolute
touchdowns.
stud. Todd Gurley, 3 carries over 100 yards, absolute stud. 2 touchdowns. I said this guy, I was so happy when they went out and drafted him. Nick Chubb was an absolute stud. He was my favorite running back in the league, in college to watch. Everyone always was talking Sonny Michel, Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb can't be a 3-down back. It doesn't matter. He's got that electricity. He's absolutely outstanding. Whoever had him in fantasy this week, good job. Which he's not owned, but in 30% of leagues or something like that. But I've been saying it since he was in college. Nick Chubb is the real deal. He's not a 3-down back, Leonard Fournette, Zeke Elliott. He is not that guy. But you need 100 yards, you need 25 yards in one carry. It doesn't give him the ball and he'll make magic happen. He's so good. There's not enough good things I can say about that guy.
Him and Baker Mayfield in that backfield for Cleveland's going to be pretty fun to watch over the next coming years because Sunday, Baker Mayfield was 21 for 41 for 295 yards. He did get sacked twice and he did throw 2 picks. But I mean,
one of those was not his fault.
Right.
Yeah.
So, although he had a pretty decent, technically it wasn't his debut, but in his first start, he didn't have a bad showing either. So,
still put up 42 points against a Raiders team that was supposed to be outstanding.
Yep.
Well, and they were hungry. They were still looking for their first win, being 0-3.
Right.
The Browns had already won because Baker came in, come from behind win against the Jets in the second half there.
Everything I've seen is that the dog pound needs to have 2 rookies back there. A being Baker Mayfield, B being Chubb. I don't see why they. Carlos Hyde, obviously. I mean, he's a veteran.
I could see that. Chubb for down 1 and 2, and Hyde for your 3 down back. But the problem with Nick Chubb is he's had several knee injuries. That's why he split snaps with Sonny Michel at Georgia. That's why he's not starting yet. That's why he's not getting very many snaps yet. He has a severe health history with his knees. I think he's blown out the same knee twice and the other knee once.
Right, and there's no reason why they shouldn't look to Carlos Hyde to take the majority of these carries. He's a very capable back. He's been in the league for a handful of years now. I even consider him a veteran. He's just a very, very good back. You know, he's a guy that can get you 4 or 5 yards of carry, especially behind a Cleveland offensive line. I think it's a little underrated.
Yeah.
Because I know you said they let up 2 sacks against the Raiders, whose pass defense is not the best.
Pass rush.
But,
Gruden's still looking for a pass rush.
He's still looking for one. But they're still good. They're still capable. I consider them to be in the top half of the league. I know they lost Joe Thomas, and that was the best part about Cleveland for a very long time.
10 years.
Yeah, but I still think that they're solid. I don't think the Browns fans have anything to hang their head over. I mean, losing's nothing new to them right now. So, I mean, when you lose a close one, you just go ahead and take it on the chin.
I mean, they still put up the second most points this week in the league.
Absolutely.
It just so happens that they lost to the team that put up the most points this week.
Right.
Nah, I don't think the Browns team has anything to worry about. They're doing better than they're expected anyway. Oh, besides the Bears. Sorry, 48. I forgot about them at 48. But
I think everyone forgot about them.
Right. It just wasn't expecting it. But I don't think the Browns team has anything to worry about. And I'm going to go ahead and put it out there. I think they got hosed. I think that review in the fourth quarter that they turned Carlos Hyde's 2-yard run in a first down into a 1-yard run in fourth down where they had to punt. I think they got hosed a little bit. I didn't see indisputable, reversible evidence. Now, the league came out, made a statement that they pieced 2 camera angles together to find out this and that. But that is the first time that has ever happened in the history that they've used 2 cameras to decide where he was
They just don't want Cleveland to win.
Yep. So I'm going to go ahead and say they got hosed, and I'm a little disappointed about it.
Yeah.
Last takeaway I had from this weekend is Earl Thomas. Everybody saw that he broke his leg against the Arizona Cardinals this week. He made a little obscene gesture to somebody in that stadium, Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll came out yesterday. It was like, I don't know who.
Dude, what? I didn't see nothing.
It was a big stadium. That was what Pete Carroll said. But no, Earl Thomas kind of proving why Lev Bell hasn't showed up for the Steelers yet, although Lev Bell did state he's going to be back week 7.
Why even come back at all? I would just sit out if I was him.
You're going to potential to get yourself hurt.
Yeah.
But he still needs to plead his case as to why he's the best running back in the league is where I see him coming from.
Le'Veon Bell came out and said, we either sit and they call us not a team player and everybody hates us, or we play with this chance of getting hurt.
And we get hurt.
And you get hurt and you sit out the season anyway.
Yep.
So Le'Veon Bell actually, I think it was on Instagram, he came out and said support for, hey, good for you for showing up, but I'm going to keep sitting out for the rest of us.
I'll be the bad guy.
Yep. I will be the bad guy for everybody else. And that says something. He says, I know I'm losing fans over this. I know I'm losing money over this, and I don't care because this is bull crap. I'm doing this for everybody else, and I completely believe that.
Yep.
So with that being said, too, the Chiefs were looking at trading for Earl Thomas. Obviously not now, but they could pick him up for next season because they did come out, or the Seahawks organization did say that it was a clean break. So that usually heals pretty quick. So out of anything, at least in splinter or fracture, because those take a little bit longer to heal. So it is a clean break. It's a good thing for Earl Thomas. He's going to sit out the rest of the year, obviously go next year and get paid.
The only question I have for him is that he's 30. He's going to be 31. That's not good if you're a defensive back, if you're a running back. They usually play till they're about 35, and then they usually hang it up.
Well, this will be his last contract after this year, obviously.
Right, so it's just who is willing to gamble on him and actually give him a decent amount of money
Cowboys.
to come in.
Cowboys, the Chiefs.
Most valuable franchise in the world, the Cowboys.
Why the Cowboys? Why Jerry Jones wouldn't give up a first-round
No, it wasn't
pick?
Jerry Jones. It was, I think it was Pete Carroll, too.
No. Jerry Jones was willing to give up the second-round pick when they offered it. When they upped it to a
okay.
first-round pick, he said no. Why?
Which is bullcrap because they came out and said that the asking price was a second-round pick.
Exactly.
And then they offered him a second-round pick, and they're like, okay, how about a first-round? And
Even so, if I'm Jerry, I don't know why I can't give them like a first-round pick a few years down the line. I don't know why it would matter. You're getting Earl Thomas right now. I don't think that injury happens if he's playing for Dallas. I think this is karma. I think this is to bite the Seahawks and the you-know-what.
Yep.
But, man, as getting back to the gesture real quick, like you said, that was directed towards Pete Carroll. This is all his fault.
I know.
And the fact that he said he didn't see it, if you go back and watch it, he's looking at the sideline, waiting for him to look at him. And then once he makes eye contact, he gives him the gesture.
Pete Carroll just said it was a big stadium. Could have been directed to anybody.
not only was it at Pete Carroll, but I think Pete Carroll is the spearhead for the entire Seahawks organization, and I think that's more what it was at. It was at the entire organization, a big FU for not signing me to a deal, not paying me what I'm worth, and 2, not trading me to someone that will pay me what I'm worth because you were being selfish. So I think it's just a big FU to everybody.
Real quick, I want to say this was not directed at any one of his teammates.
Oh,
and I want people to know
Russell
that.
Wilson, because all the money in the Seahawks organization is tied up right there.
Yes, but I don't think that he would direct that towards Russell for making his money. Because Russell's earned it. He's earned it, okay? He made it to the Super Bowl twice. He's been the most elusive quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, because he has to be.
Yes, he has to be. But if you played behind that offensive line and you were able to make magic happen, you would want your money too. I know it hasn't translated to a majority of wins in the past couple of years, but there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to get your money if you're good enough. And I think that plays into what Earl was talking about and what he's been trying to get for the past – well, actually, I think it was just the past year, wasn't it, when you tried to renegotiate his contract. So I don't have a problem with it. I'm a little disappointed it got caught on TV. I felt like that's something that probably could have been handled between him and Pete if he really wanted to go after his coach. But, hey, if you want publicity, that's one way to do it. So let's go ahead and stick with football here, and let's go ahead and transition to Central Illinois High School football. This is week 6 that we're recapping here.
Yep.
Tyson's got the picks. He's got so I'm just going to go ahead and hand it over to him.
This was another good week for old Ty Dog here, coming in clutch. I'll tell you the records here in a little bit, but our first game was Centennial against Urbana. Centennial we all picked, took this one in a landslide again. Urbana's still struggling. 33-6 was the final. I feel like that was a pretty easy pick for us. The next game up was Central against Danville. I was the only one that said Central would avoid the Champaign-Urbana sweep to Danville, and Central ended up pulling this one out 33-22. Gavin and Cale took the L on that one. It was still close, but Central avoiding that sweep there. Muhammad Seymour, me and Gavin picked. Cale went ahead and took Effingham in this one. And Cale nailed that one by a mile.
Professional high school football picker.
64-28 was the final. It wasn't even close from start to finish.
It's like the Bulldogs didn't even want to play.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, what's wrong with that team right now, but they got walloped. Monticello, again, another easy pick for us, 41-0. I don't remember who they played.
Doesn't matter. Another
victim. 41-0. Moving on, PBL against Salt Fork. Cale went with Salt Fork on this one, picking against the alma mater.
Loser.
Bad choice.
Loser.
PBL took this one 51-27.
First time that Salt Fork has been in our division. They were 5-0. Gibson City. I was kind of basing that game off how we performed with Gibson City. Now I understand Salt Fork's not probably half the caliber Gibson City is, but that's just kind of how I was basing that pick.
It was also like 51-6 until we put the second string in, and then they scored an extra 3 touchdowns.
Salt in the wound here for me.
Okay.
More salt for Salt Fork. But seriously, no, let me just go off of that real quick. I mean, I just want to say that if I know anything, it's Watsika. And when Salt Fork went up against Watsika, I called that their defense was lackluster. And I said that it would be exposed against this PBL offense, and it sure was.
Yep.
I think would you say 51 points?
51-27
in this game. So that should have told you something right there.
Speaking of Watsika, they weren't on our lineup this week, but they got smacked. I think it was Clifton Central they played. I think it was something like 48-12 or 36-12, something like that.
Central's good.
But our next game of the week was IVC against Rantoul. Both of you went with Rantoul in a very, very close one.
Yeah.
IVC came out 1 point on top. Little
One
revenge for the 1 point loss a couple weeks ago to STM, but they ended up winning this one 35-34.
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it, man. I was pulling for Rantoul. Oh, geez.
Looking at Rantoul, they've had several close games this year. I might have to consider them in the future, but for this week, I'm glad I did not. Our next game up was STM. They won 37-7. I don't remember who they played either.
They beat
Chillicothe, wasn't it?
Yeah, no.
Oh, no, that's who...
that's who.
Right.
Yeah, that's who Rantoul played. But STM pulling out a big win again, 37-7. We all got that one right. Easy pick.
4-2 for the Sabres, man. Congratulations. Big bounce
absolutely.
back.
But Tuscola was our next game. Another easy pick.
Dub.
They went against...
Dude, I don't remember.
They went against Sullivan Okaw Valley. They won 61-0, and I'm pretty sure it was about that at halftime. Again, easy pick, absolutely destroyed. And our second to last game of the week was Bismarck Henning against Villa Grove Heritage. Gavin was the one that went with Villa Grove in this one. Cale and I both took Bismarck Henning, who won by a little bit of a landslide, 38-14. Taking a big win on that one. Bismarck stays undefeated on the year, 6-0. And our last game of the week, old Tie Dog, the only one taking PC over St. Joe. I said that's probably the last time I'll pick against St. Joe this week, this year, and it worked out for me. PC took the win, 34-14. That puts me at 9-1 on the week. Gavin unfortunately had another rough week, 5-5. And Cale slightly better at 6-4, but that takes our totals to Cale and I are tied at first place right now at 46-14 for the year. Gavin close behind at 40-20.
I hit 40, boys.
That's all that matters.
Catching up. Jeez, man. I don't know what it is about picking high school football, but it's like you guys pick all these teams I've never even heard of before. And
you went to a school that's 3 times the size of ours.
Right. Well, we've played most of these teams, or at least watched them, or had to compete. And they were in our division for state, so we had to look into them. We've had a lot more contact with a lot of these teams.
I've got 3 local schools I can choose from for you.
Hey, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna next week. I'm gonna write the teams. I'm gonna pick the games, and it's gonna be like all 5, 6, and 7A schools, and y'all can pick from those.
See, if we do that, then that might be a little challenging for us. It's gonna be a little different.
Yeah, because I know some of them. Because I know when we did basketball tournaments, we'd have to play 6A schools, 7A schools up in the suburbs of Chicago. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on from that. Hopefully, I can get a couple games back on the next pick on Friday.
Tell me about it.
And let's get in to what we really have been waiting to talk about. MLB playoffs is finally here. Like I said in the beginning, the first of the wild card games is going on today at 7 o'clock Central Time. Chicago Cubs taking on the Colorado Rockies at Wrigley Field. But let's go ahead and let's talk about the games before the playoffs. We had 2 tiebreakers that needed to be played yesterday between the LA Dodgers and the Colorado Rockies, and the Chicago Cubs. Yep, versus the Milwaukee Brewers.
162 games won, and 163 games. 62. Geez, if I could do math, wasn't enough.
No, it was not. With the Brewers coming out on top 3-1 over the Cubs to take home the NL Central pennant. Yeah. And I honestly can't remember the score of the LA Dodgers game. I know it was
like
big.
8-0, I think is what it was. 7-0.
Was 5-2.
5-2.
Oh, it was a lot closer than I thought.
They must put them up late.
Okay. Well, anyway, nonetheless, the Dodgers won that game, and they took home the crown in the NL West. That means the Rockies and Cubs pinned up against each other tonight.
Sure did. They put both of those runs up in the ninth.
So there we go. With that said, those 2 games, before we get into our predictions, what did you guys think? What went wrong? What went right? Go ahead.
Everything went right for the Dodgers. Colorado, they struggled a little bit. Their pitcher, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. He did not pitch a bad game against this LA Dodgers team. He didn't have any offensive production, which is a good thing for the Chicago Cubs tonight. That being said, the Cubs struggled a lot yesterday. I don't want to say a lot because it was 1-1 until the 8th inning when our bullpen, unfortunately, blew it apart. So that proves right there. I've been preaching about this all year. I've been preaching about this for the last 6 years of my life. If you don't have a bullpen, you cannot win games, especially against a good, hot Milwaukee Brewers team, or any team for the fact of that matter. That being said, Anthony Rizzo's solo shot was the only run we had yesterday, and that came in the 5th inning. That's a good thing. Anthony Rizzo's hot. He's heated up in the last 3 weeks of the year. We need that. Not only do we need Rizzo to stay hot, we need Bryant to warm up. We need Contreras to warm up. We need Schwarber to warm up against the Rockies tonight, who have Blackman, Arenado, Story, and I can't remember, DJ LeMahieu. So they have just as many power hitters and big swingers as we have. So the good thing I will say about this, Tyson, is that Colorado had to travel from Los Angeles to Chicago overnight. That's what's going to benefit us a lot. We didn't have to move our feet.
After they played a 3 o'clock game,
they got over at 6.
They got over at 6 something, and then they had to hop on a plane from L.A. and fly all the way to Chicago.
So they're probably rolling into Chicago right around midnight, or maybe even later. So that's a good thing for the Cubs. They're going to have the jet lag coming all the way from Colorado or from California. I want to say
moving up 2 time zones.
Yep,
definitely a little bit of a hit for Colorado.
Well, and they're playing at Wrigley Field, and they're always buzzing. Always.
No matter how bad we are, how good we are, no matter what game it is.
The stands are full, and they're full from start to finish.
We have the best fan base in sports. I'm going to say that right now. The Chicago Cubs have the best fan base in sports history. You guys can disagree with me on that all
that's fine. You can keep your opinion. That's
no
fine.
other fan base could suffer for 108 years and still love their team.
Love them. I'm never going to turn my back on the Chicago Cubs. I know you ain't either. So, I don't know.
108 years.
Tonight's takeaway.
It's a long time.
Tonight's takeaway, I feel like the Cubs are going to beat the Rockies. I'm pretty confident in that. We'll just have to see, though. I can't really.
I'm right there with you. If we're predicting our first game here, I'm taking the Cubs as well, just based on the travel time. And the Rockies haven't really had a whole lot of time to prepare and get ready for anything. So I'm going with the Cubs in this one, too.
Yeah, I got Chicago over the Rockies in this one. I actually got them big. I think that they should win by at least 4 runs in this game. There's no reason why they shouldn't. They really struggled against Milwaukee, and I don't think that the Colorado Rockies are even close to Milwaukee's level right now. Being that the way that they took care of business, like you said, in the 8th inning with the bullpen of Chicago coming in, Colorado they got some big hitters. I just feel like you said, Rizzo's hot. If they can have Javier Baez have some plate discipline just for this one game, not try to be a hero. He doesn't need to be, although he's more than capable of being.
Yep.
He doesn't need to be in this game.
He tried to tie that game up yesterday with one swing.
Right.
We don't need that. We need multiple swings.
I can be your hero, baby.
I love it. I love his mentality.
You can't question his heart. I love it.
But Javi, we needed one swing and one swing only, and you didn't have to win the game on that one swing.
And I also think a big guy that has to step up is Jason Hayward. Being that he is, I feel like, the most important veteran on this team, personally.
I would put him up there with Rizzo.
Well, I feel like Rizzo's in a class of his own, personally.
Okay, I'll agree with you on that.
But Jason Hayward, just being the veteran that he is and not being a lifetime Cub, right. he needs to step up.
I see where you're coming from.
He needs to step up in this game, and I'm really looking forward to it. Him and Rizzo, I think they can get it going. But I do agree, the Bats need to wake up in this game, and I think that's what it's going to come down to.
So you got the Cubs over the Rockies.
Absolutely, yeah. Let's go ahead and move on to the other wild card game. The New York Yankees against the Oakland Athletics. This is going to be in New York.
Tomorrow night.
This is tomorrow night, I believe at the same time, 7 o'clock Central. So I've got the Yankees over the A's in a landslide.
Oh, okay.
But I could be wrong. I'm just going based off of they got the home run record this year with all the sluggers that they have. Yeah, with all the sluggers they have on that team. In Judge and company. I don't see how Oakland comes out on top unless their pitching goes absolutely nuts.
That's a little bit of a shock to me. I thought you were going with Oakland. I am actually going to go with Oakland in this one.
I want the A's to win.
I really, really respect that New York pick, and I would love to see a Yankees Red Sox NL or ALDS. That would be so good. But I'm going to go with Oakland in this one. They have made a hot charge since just before July. Charged and have been just about the best team in baseball over the last couple months. They've been absolutely outstanding. I hope they can march into New York and take this one. I'm going with the A's.
I'll go with the A's, too, for the sheer premise that since July 1st, the Oakland Athletics have been the second best run production in the major leagues, right behind Boston. Second fact, too, is that in the last stretch in September, they were the second hottest team in baseball, right behind the Milwaukee Brewers, fighting for a contention spot.
Well, and at some point they were 15 games behind New York,
Right around the time of the All-Star break.
And they're now 3 games back after the second half of the season. They came all the way back from that deficit while New York was still winning games.
The only thing I'm concerned about is a guy by the name of Giancarlo Stanton, Aaron Judge, Gleyber Torres.
It's going to be a hell of a dogfight.
I'm going to Oakland.
Bombs and bombs and bombs, but I think Oakland can pull it out.
I think they can too, just for the sheer fact that they got the heart, brother. That's all they got is heart.
A little bit of heart and a little bit of soul, brother.
I want them to win. I'm only taking the Yankees, like I said. The stats,
that's a great pick.
The stats point to New York winning this game.
I could see it going either way. Absolutely.
If they don't win this game next year, there's no reason why they won't be on top of the AL East out there. They're just too good.
I agree.
Boston.
Well, and we saw all the moves that they made coming in to the last month of the season, last couple months. Exactly. Well, not just McCutcheon, and Zach Britton from the Orioles as well to add to that bullpen. So let's go ahead and move on here. Let's go back to the American League. The Dodgers winning their tiebreaker game means that they'll have to play the Braves in the NLDS
At Atlanta.
So that's going to be
first game will be in LA.
Sorry, you're right. Yes,
because LA had a better record.
You're right. That's my fault.
You're good.
All right. With that said, you guys informed me about this before we came on today. The divisional round series has changed to 7 games from 5.
Yeah.
I am 95% sure.
We're going to stat check that real quick, but that was news to me. I've been watching baseball the past couple of years. I did not know that this was a change for this year. But with that said, if 7 games makes the probability of an upset happening less because there's less games to play, which means there's more room for error, more room for the better team to do what they do. And in this case, supposedly that is the Dodgers. I have them taking out Atlanta in this series and moving on in 5 personally, but I want to hear what you guys have to say about it. You guys are the baseball experts here.
Both divisional games are 5 games.
I lied. Yep. 5 games.
I thought they were still 5.
Okay, so they are 5. So
NLCS is 7, and then the championship. So the divisional series is 5. The championship series is 7, and then the series obviously is 7.
Yep.
Okay, so with that said, there is more room for error. I'll probably just go ahead and cut that out.
You got 3 games with errors.
Absolutely. So I still think I'm going to take the LA Dodgers 3-1 in this series and have a move on.
That's not a bad pick. The Dodgers obviously are the Dodgers. Dodgers going to Dodgers. Although you can't discredit Atlanta for what they've done this year either, knocking the Phillies out of contention.
Well, they made a hard charge to do that, too.
Yes.
It was real tight with Philly for a while.
That Philly team is going to be good next year as long as they can keep everybody healthy, keep everybody around on that roster.
Possibly sign Bryce Harper?
He's going to be in Chicago. That being said, I'm going to have to take L.A. as well just for the sheer fact that L.A. is L.A. Max Muncy, Turner,
Manny
Machado, Bellinger. You can just go on and on.
You could go on and on, but why didn't that team win 100 games?
Exactly.
Why did they stall out so bad even after they got Manny Machado? I'm taking Freddie Freeman and the boys. I think they get it done. I don't know how it's gonna happen, but I'm gonna take it.
That's a good pick. I like it. I'm gonna have to go with LA just for the sheer fact that
it'll be a close series. I think it'll go 5 games either way.
I've got 4 games, but that's besides the fact.
Whoa,
this is a guy
I'm gonna stretch that to 7.
It's 5-game series.
We just said it's a 5
series.
5 games will stretch
and
to
they're
5.
going 7 games.
I'm tired, man.
Let's move on here. Let's go to the other divisional round. Let's go to the ALDS.
Who?
The Houston Astros and the Cleveland Indians.
We're not even going to talk about this, Houston.
Yeah, unfortunately, this will be a 3-game series, Houston.
Astros in 3. Yeah, okay, let's just move on here.
I didn't mean to steal your thunder there.
So with the playoff game tonight, we all picked the Chicago Cubs to win the wild card game. That would mean that they go up against the Milwaukee Brewers in the other NLDS round, excuse me. So in 5 games, who do you guys got, Chicago or Milwaukee?
Milwaukee.
No, you're not going to give any reasoning, statistics behind that or nothing?
Milwaukee has given us problems all year. The only person that's pitched decent against them this season has been Jose Quintana with an ERA of 1.60. Yep, I just got Milwaukee, to be real honest. I feel like their pitching staff is better. They've got it's obviously going to be the MVP in Christian Yelich. I feel like he's earned that, especially with the stretch he's had in September over Javi. I just feel like Milwaukee's too tough for this Cubs team with no bullpen.
Okay, I could see that. I think Milwaukee does have a great chance, and I think they're going to take a little bit of steam with them from winning that tiebreaker. But I'm going to go with the Cubs in this one. I think they'll finally get a break. They get a day break after they beat the Rockies. I think they're going to come in hot off that Rockies win.
Confidence. I like it.
But I think they'll figure out what they were doing wrong against Milwaukee. They've struggled against them. You know how hard it is? So I play football. It's incredibly hard to beat a team once. It's even harder to beat a team twice. And it is almost impossible to beat a team 3 times. Baseball, you can beat a team a couple times. It's very, very hard to beat a team several times. It's almost impossible to beat them almost every time. And Milwaukee has already beat us several times. I think it's going to be very hard for them to continue that streak with the dominance that they've had over the Cubs so far this year. I think the Cubs will finally stop struggling against the Central, and they'll pull out this win. 5 games again, but I think they'll pull it out.
I have the Brewers also in this one in 5. I just feel like they came into Chicago, and they really just took the reins, and they took the win right out of the Cubs. At Wrigley Field, they're going to have home field advantage in this one. They've already shown that they can win later in the year at Chicago, so I don't see why they wouldn't be able to win at home. I know the Cubs do play well in Milwaukee, but there's no reason why the Brewers shouldn't be able to take care of business. I got them winning 3-2. So let's go ahead and move on here to our next. This would be the other ALDS game. Sorry, I jumped ship there for a second. I had the Yankees. You guys have the Oakland Athletics. Either way, one of these teams is going to have to go against the Boston Red Sox, which I believe we are all in consensus that the Red Sox will come away in this series. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think if they're playing the A's, it'd be a 3 or 4 game series. I think with the Yankees, it'd be a 4 or 5 game series. But I think either way, Boston comes out on top.
Boston's going to win the American League.
All right, so there we go. Consensus pick right there. Boston Red Sox making it to the championship round against the Houston Astros. With that said, Astros coming off a World Series victory. Could they go back-to-back? Maybe, maybe not. I have the Red Sox taking them down in 6 games. What are your guys' thoughts?
That 6 games is a good, solid choice because both of these teams are stout on the opposite half of the countries. This game for me, when I was thinking about it last night, was going to be very hard for me to pick. I'm going to have to go with Boston in 7, just for the sheer fact that that is going to be a 7-game series. I can guarantee you that. Boston's too tough, too strong, and they've got one key. Although they do have Chris Sale, and on the other side, Houston's got Verlander. So they have 2 Cy Young winners. I don't know, man. I just got Boston in 7. I got to go with my gut.
I think Houston comes into this one with a little bit of a leg up, considering they're only going to have to play 3 games against Cleveland, where Boston might have to play 5. So they're going to have a couple of extra days rest, a little bit fresher legs, fresher bats. I still think Boston's going to take this one. I was going to say in 5, but if Houston can take Cleveland in 3, I think they'll make it stretch to 6 or 7. So, but I'm still taking Boston.
Fair enough. All right, so Tyson has the Cubs beating the Brewers in the NLDS. Me and Cale both have the Brewers over the Cubs to face the Dodgers in the championship series. Either way, Tyson, let me start with you. Do the Cubs have what it takes to take out LA in the championship series?
I picked the Braves to beat the Dodgers.
I'm sorry, that's right, you did. We picked the Dodgers.
I was the weird one in the NL. We were consensus in the AL. I'm actually going to take the Cubs over the Braves. I think we've played well against the Braves all season, which kind of contradicts my point why we're going to beat Milwaukee, but we're moving on from that. I think the Cubs will have what it takes. Made it this far, why not keep going? I think they'll find a way to take them down. I don't know how yet, but I'm hoping the pitching will eventually come together. We can figure out what we got going on in the back end of the bullpen, and maybe Kenley Jansen starts getting close to becoming available by that time.
All right, Carol, let me start with you then, or hand it over to you. We have the Dodgers there with the Brewers. Who are you taking in this series?
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take Milwaukee, just for the sheer fact that Milwaukee, I feel like, is the hottest team in the National League right now, and baseball is about a sport where you get hot at the right time, you're more likely going to perform. Milwaukee got hot at the right time.
10 of their last 11 they've won.
And they won, yep. And they have
including the tiebreaker.
8 straight with the tiebreakers. They
Yes.
did win 8 of them games straight. So I just feel like Milwaukee's the hottest team right now. They got hot at the right time, so I got Milwaukee over LA in the NLCS.
Do we get a prediction?
7 games.
7 games.
7
okay.
games. 7 games. This NL's too tough. So
Right.
I have a feeling all these are going to go to
Well,
the
we
max.
saw that yesterday. We had 2 tiebreakers for 4 spots.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's too tight, too close. All these all these races in the NL are going to go full series.
Fair enough. I've got the Dodgers in 7 games over the Brewers. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and switch it over to the American League real quick. If we have the Red Sox in the World Series consensusly beating the Astros, that means we got to start with Tyson, who has the Cubs against the Red Sox in the World Series. What's your prediction?
What I really want to happen, what I think possibly could happen, the Cubs continue the hot streak, beat Boston in 5.
5 games.
If that doesn't happen, Boston wins no matter what.
Yep.
The Cubs win in 5 or they lose. That's it.
We have to win our 3 at home.
So I want that to happen, but overall, I think I'm unfortunately going to take Boston to take down the Cubs.
As a fan, I would be 100% excited, as a fan of baseball, to watch the Chicago Cubs and the Boston Red Sox in the World Series, the 2 oldest organizations in history of baseball. Going back from Fenway to Wrigley, and plus John Lester's pitched in both of those ballparks
that would be actually insane.
2 World Series as well, or a World Series for each team.
Yep.
That as a fan of baseball, as a fan of the sport, that would be an amazing World Series to watch with, and as a Cubs fan, obviously. But Boston against Chicago would be just historically amazing.
All right, let me switch over to you, Cale. That means we got the Brewers against the Red Sox in the World Series. Who are you taking?
I'm going to go ahead and take the Red Sox. I feel like the Red Sox in the American League is just as hot as the Cubs, or the National League, excuse me.
The top 5 was just as hot as the National League.
Exactly. But that being said, the whole National League was a struggle, and we saw that the last 4 weeks of baseball with the Cubs. That being said, the National League is going to have a little bit of an advantage, in my opinion, because we've played solid competition all year, as opposed to if you look at the American League, who's had to play the Tigers, the Twins, the
Blue Jays,
the White Sox.
I'm kidding. I'm sorry.
Yeah, come on, man.
Etc. So I feel like that the Milwaukee Brewers are going to get that World Series title this season over the Red Sox.
Okay.
Wow. Okay, I've got the Boston Red Sox over the LA Dodgers in the World Series.
We're all different, thank God.
Yeah, which is good. We can have some controversy. Make sure we write all this down too. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to the tape. With that said, I mean, like you guys have been saying, Boston's just too hot. They got too many studs on that team. I don't care if it's the American League or not. I mean, when you put up was 106, 108, whatever, how many games they won.
108.
108 wins. That's not easy to do, no matter what year it is.
You got to look at the bottom half of the American League too.
Right, but you also have to look in the division they play in, and the Yankees are a playoff team, and the Rays were, I think, 8 games above 500.
That's the issue with the Rays, is that the Yankees and the Red Sox were so good that
the Rays were only a game out of the playoffs if they played in the NL.
Right.
Or
That's
something
unreal.
like that.
You got 3 really, really, really solid teams with 2 championship caliber teams in the same division. That's why the Blue Jays lost so many games.
The Red Sox smashed the Astros, and they absolutely cleaned the Indians out this season.
Let me just say, if you are right and LA does make it with Boston there, Gavin, I think LA loses in 4. I don't think they take a game against Boston.
I can't.
I was going to say 5 because I think I respect the Dodgers to get hot enough to win 1 game.
They might snag one at home.
That's what I was getting
4
at.
or 5, but I don't think they'll stretch that series.
Oh, absolutely not. Honestly, I think whoever Boston takes on, I don't think it goes past 5 games, whether they're the winner or the loser. Personally, I just think that they're that good.
Yep.
If someone does take them down, I think it's like you said, it's going to be quick because they're not going to know what to do. If you give this team time to adjust, you're not going to survive. So I've got the Boston Red Sox as the 2018 World Series champions. But
so to redo it, you've got the Red Sox, I've got the Brewers, you have the
Red Sox, unless the Cubs do it in 5.
Right.
So Tyson's kind of split on his pick.
I'm still taking the Red Sox are my overall pick.
Okay, fair enough.
As a fan.
Oh, as a fan,
I got.
Oh yeah, I want Chicago to win no matter what.
As my official pick, it's the Red Sox in 6.
As a fan, I'm going to be sitting on the edge of my seat tonight. I can tell you that right now.
Right, and after these wild card games, no matter what happens, we will redo our picks on Friday if things do change, because obviously we're all different here.
Get smacked, and then
or if the A's somehow upset the Yankees, then I'll have to go ahead and redo my picks here. There's a lot of variables that go into it, but that's our overall predictions, and we'll kind of do it like the NCAA March Madness tournament. We'll kind of cross out where we were wrong, and I don't know, maybe turn it into some sort of point system. We'll have to see going forward. But with that said, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for us today. If you like what you heard, make sure to leave a comment and a rating down in the box below. Also, make sure to hit that big red subscribe button and click that bell icon to the right of it so you never miss a beat. Also, make sure to follow us on our social media page at sports_twin. And with that said, my name is Gavin Campbell. That was Tyson Snyder and Cale Fleming. We will see you guys next time.
Peace.
Based upon the view, you can't have too much trouble. So why can't we do it? Everybody's doing it. Let's ride the fireworks, stand back and enjoy it. Oh, oh. Bomb